Rocky Mountain Sasquatch. I would like to go over recent Bigfoot activity our team has been tracking in the historically #1 Bigfoot sighting hotspot in the world, the state of Washington. Our team investigated several Bigfoot sighting reports along the Lewis River, around Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, and a few reports in the Olympic Forest. Here are a couple of photos that were posted to RMSO media sites this year. This photo was reportedly taken in the Olympic Forest of Washington. In my opinion, the foliage appears to be correct for this part of the Pacific Northwest. The person who posted the photo publicly ignored all questions regarding this picture other than stating it was captured in the Olympic Forest. This next photo posted to an RMSO media site by a gentleman named Ron. He states, "A friend sent this to me from the Hoh River in the peninsula of Washington. I've had several encounters myself, including a sighting crossing the road in Ashford, Washington." RMSO asks, "Hi Ron, do you know when this photo was taken? What is your friend's story behind obtaining this photo?" Ron continues, "It was taken over a year ago. He was fishing and it was on the other side of the river. I myself have seen it, have also heard it talking and howling. Had a tree knock in October of this year, right after shooting my 10-22. I knocked back, then felt it was best to leave. The talking sounds were like gibberish. As soon as I made noise, it stopped. I just rolled a doe in a can." And a doe in a can is this canister that you turn and it makes a sound like a deer. Hunters use it to call in whatever they have a tag for. These next set of photos were posted by Ted, and he writes, "Ashford, Washington. I wear a size 11. These were about 6 inches deep. There were a few. They went over the side of a hill, and I myself am a member of the Advanced Mountaineering Search and Rescue Team for 31 years, and it was a hill I would not go over without ropes. There were 3 for positive, and I was so surprised of the find that taking pictures of them all totally slipped my mind. And by the smell, I had a very heightened adrenaline, if that makes any sense. I'm headed out to camp in the same place tomorrow and going back. I marked the prints very well." RMSO responds, "Were you able to measure the track or get a length and width size estimate compared to your boot?" Ted responds, "I didn't, but I can definitely give you the length of the boot, if that would help." RMSO states, "Huge. It reminds me of the 2 tracks we found a few years ago in the Blue Mountains at the famous Paul Freeman Bigfoot on video location. We found 2 of them that were very deep, similar in shape, however yours is probably over an inch longer. We were unable to sink into the substrate, but the 2 front prints were a couple of inches sunk in. Maybe it walked there during or after a rainstorm. Cool find. Obviously made before it snowed." Ted continues, "These prints were definitely before the snowfall. We're going up there camping tomorrow and I'll see what I can find and let you know more. There were 3 prints and a third was going over the side and was about 200 feet down. Was just so amazed that I didn't even think to take more pictures of the other 3 tracks. So yeah, these were very deep and definitely a big one for sure. If you'd like, I will let you know what I find this weekend when we go back to the same spot. I marked it." RMSO asks, "Ashford, Washington? Were you on the west side of town or on the east side closer to Mount Rainier?" Ted responds, "On the southwest side, I'd say. So it's up at a place called High Rock, which is off the road named Skate Creek that goes from Ashford to Packwood, Washington. By his tracks, it definitely looked as if he was traveling alone, and in all honesty, I'm not sure he was very far from us, because the smell was something horrible, way worse than any rotten animal." RMSO asks, "Maybe he was bedded down nearby. Was it actively snowing when you found the tracks?" Ted replies, "Yes, just started snowing, maybe 3 inches or snow." Tim Bowman Jr. writes RMSO, "Some tracks I came across on a high mountain frozen lake. Came down one side of the mountain, crossed the lake, went up the other side of the mountain. If you look close, there are a ball, an arch, and toes." RMSO responds, "Hi Tim, what state did you find this trackway in?" Tim responds, "Washington State." RMSO responds, "What part of the state, or as close to the area you are comfortable divulging? We spend a lot of time in that state searching for the creature and evidence. I am impressed with the dimensions and the toes of the tracks you found." Tim writes back, "It was up at Palmer Lake, just out of Nighthawk by Oroville, Washington, 10 miles from the Canadian border. I'm a hunter, and I've never seen anything like it. It had 4-foot strides coming down the hill and kept it 2 feet apart on the ice and back to 4 feet again going up the hill on the other side. RMSO writes back, crazy. Sounds like the creature knows it needs to be careful on the ice. Long strides traveling till it gets to the ice, and then it seems to shuffle along, if you will. Went from 4-foot strides to 2-foot strides. That's interesting. Did you notice or hear anything else unusual? Tim responds, no, I was ice fishing. The track looked about 3 days old. Just thought I would share these odd tracks. I can't honestly say what it could be, but I know it's not a bear. My dad actually had an encounter when he was 17. He and his friends were camping by a creek. They dam it up to catch crawdads. That night they were all around the fire and something very tall and hairy ran by them on 2 legs. My dad and friends ran into their tent and stayed there till morning. When they woke up, they were still trying to figure out what it could have been. They all went down to the creek to see if there was any crawdads and noticed a very large footprint on top of the muddy rock dam they built. He told me this. I didn't believe him. Now fast forward 30 years to now, and I come across these tracks. Now I'm rethinking his story. RMSO responds, was your dad and friends encounter in Washington State also? Tim, yes, about 80 miles away above Brewster, Washington on Paradise Hill. Hi, Tim. We really appreciate you sending us photos and informing us of what you saw. Really enjoyed your dad's Bigfoot sighting 80 miles from there. That area of Washington, the entire state of Washington, is #1 for Bigfoot sightings in the United States and the world. Amazing place for Bigfoot. I hope everybody enjoyed these footprints and a Bigfoot sighting report that really isn't that far away from where he found these tracks. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.
But look at this though. Look at these.
Oh my gosh, I didn't understand what you guys meant.
Yeah, we're seeing giant footprints where they've laid down, sat down.
No,
but
right,
yeah,
right here, Jen, look.
The thumb extends off this way. This is the bottom of the hand. And deep in there is where its thumb goes. And then you can almost make out all the fingers that it drove in. It's like it pushed itself up from where it was sitting right here.
Oh,
and you can see the big
I'm gonna go check out over here.
To you guys.
That's so crazy.
They've got another camera going, checking out the footprint.